You were collecting at an early age.
But then, yeah, sometimes I do a collection of a little vignette here, this tiny little box, and then
Wherever.
it's what's inside it.
Yeah. Into your childhood.
Somehow
Maybe
they
it takes
still
you.
have this like residue of attention.
Good day, folks. Welcome to. Good day, folks. Welcome to this Meet the Miniaturist. How is everybody doing? Say hello in the chat box. Tell me where you're joining from. I love to see where everybody is tuning in from. Welcome, welcome. Let me go get the chat box up. It takes a few seconds for folks to actually, we'll wait another minute to let folks join. Thank you for joining this weekend Sunday edition of Meet the Miniaturist. So glad to see you. Say hello to Donald. Thank you, Donald, for helping us out behind the scenes. Say hello to Donnie D. Welcome to this Meet the Miniaturist edition. Say hello to the chat box if you're just joining. I'm going to go through just a couple of updates on what is happening in and around my mini world. Hi, Evelyn. Good to see you. You've been very busy checking in. You were here Thursday night. Thank you for joining on Thursday night, Evelyn. So yeah, let me just go ahead and start and talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on in the mini world while we're waiting for some folks to join. Hi, Pat. Good to see you coming in from Canada. If you don't know, the Guild is hosting their virtual learning program. If you're not like in on that, get in on that. If you want to, take class. I took class with them the last time around. I loved it. I took a class with Shannon Moore. I did a little piece of furniture. Hey, Veronica, great to see you. Hi, Kendall. Hey, from Oklahoma. Okay, yeah, good to see you. Hey, Mark. Hi, Marcella. So Guild Virtual Learning Program is underway. It's starting March 12th. That's like now, isn't it? That's next week. Not sure if there will be any seats available, but just go check them out. There might be some seats left on some classes. They book up very fast, very popular. The Tom Bishop show is coming up. Hi, Baptiste from Massachusetts. Good to see you. Tom Bishop show is coming up. The London Dollhouse Festival is coming up. We're going to pop the links in the chat box so that you guys can click on those and check them out on your own. And then finally, the 43rd Annual Miniature Show, which is more of the local shows. And I want to promote the local guys too, because those are important events as well. They might not be as big as like a Tom Bishop show or a London Dollhouse Festival, but they're just as important because they get folks out to see miniatures, buy miniatures, gets artists to showcase their miniatures. So check them out. Had a couple of really, really great events over the last few weeks. If you don't know, there is a new reality show based in Canada that is out called Best in Miniature. I had some contestants on last week. We're going to pop a replay link in the chat box. And next week, I'm going to have several of the finalists on for a Meet the Miniaturist, sort of a deep dive in the finalists to see their projects, chat with these miniaturists, and get maybe some behind the scenes 411 on being on a reality show, so check that out. We're going to put the link in there so that you can register. And also, what else is coming up? Meet the Miniaturist. Oh, I don't know if you're familiar with hbsminiatures.com, but they have a contest every year, a creating contest. So, and they do some fabulous work. It really gets folks out there to just get their creativity going. And we're going to have some of the winners from that event on a Meet the Miniaturist on Sunday, the 20th. We're going to put a link in there so you can pre-register now. We don't know who's going to be on yet, but keep checking back. But register, get that done, get your links and all that kind of stuff. So look for that. But as always, most, if not all, of my Meet the Miniaturists are posted on my YouTube channel. So check those out. In fact, the last one I just had was we met Jay Kupchak, iconic family of miniaturists. Eugene Kupchak's son. He is the collaborator with Narcissus Nee Blackthorn of the famed Thorn Rooms in Chicago. We had him on Thursday. Awesome interview, really great insights to miniature making and the miniatures world. Gosh, you have to really check that out if you didn't watch it live. If anybody was on, just put in the chat box what you thought about it. Just to tell me what you thought, good and bad. It was a really great event. And then finally, I had a webinar yesterday, Saturday morning, about selling your adored collections. Because if you don't know who I am a passionate miniaturist, unapologetic. I don't spend time telling people about what I do and why I like miniatures and what miniatures are. So I'm unapologetic miniatures is what I call myself. So, but I do sell miniatures as often as I can, as in addition to promoting them, which is what we're doing today. So I had a webinar about, what are my options if I have a collection to sell. In fact, I am right now in the middle of selling this wonderful piece, which is the Frances England dollhouse. Came over from England, and I'm selling it on behalf of a Rhode Island based collector. So, but I sell miniatures. That's what I do for a living. But I promote miniatures every chance I can get. So I had a webinar yesterday about what are your options should you have a collection. Maybe you have a collection that you want to sell. Maybe you're downsizing. Who knew these tiny things take up so much room? Or maybe you are acting on behalf of a friend who is looking to sell their collection. Anyway, I took folks through all of their options for selling their collections, in addition to having me help them do that. So if there's any interest in selling your collection, definitely reach out to me. We'll put my contact information in the box here, and I'm happy to go through all of the options for you. But I will be replaying this webinar in about 5 weeks. So sign up for updates so you know when it's happening, so you could watch that live. And finally, thank you for all your support. For my patrons out there, my Patrons Club members, thank you for your support. If you want to support my continued efforts for providing content around this wonderful world of miniatures that we love so much, we're going to pop that in the box. Joining my Patrons Club helps to offset a lot of the costs for bringing this content to you, but also in addition, you get back exclusive content events as being a member, including, we just had a special meet and greet with Annelle Ferguson, who's an IGMA fellow, talented woman. And that's sort of like kind of the things that we do as part of a Patrons Club, just access to these yummy concepts and thoughts and things like that. And that's it. So I thank you for listening to that. I am so excited to be bringing up a special guest for this Meet the Miniaturist. Her name is Jessica Oreck, and she runs the Office of Collecting and Design, which is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hi, Jessica. Great to see you. Thank you so much for joining. So why don't we start with just tell us a little bit about this concept. I know you've been around since only April of last year, so you're coming on your 1-year anniversary. Explain to us what this concept is, where it came about, and what it means, the Office of Collecting. Tell us about that. And then we're going to do a deep dive into, I want to hear about you. I don't want to hear about your background. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I've been a collector since I was really little. My parents say, before I could really walk or talk, I was gathering little bits around me. For my career, I'm a filmmaker, but I also do stop motion animation. And for years, I was accumulating more and more things for stop motion, for sets, and for characters and things like this. And we had lived overseas for many years, and most of my stuff I would make an animation, and then I would put all the content in storage. And when we finally moved to the States, I was like, I can't wait to get all of my stuff into a studio, all at my fingertips. It's going to be great. And then, somebody was like, you're going to open that to the public, right? Because you have weird stuff.
Yeah.
So I decided, yes. I mean, I worked at a museum for 12 years, so it felt like a really natural step to just make a museum.
Yeah. There are so many things I want to get to in terms of, how you put everything together. It's making total sense now, actually. I'm putting those two pieces together, that you have a museum background. Everything that's behind you is wonderfully presented, beautifully created in wonderful order. But let's go back. So you were collecting at an early age, just collecting. What does that mean to collect? Like, how did you collect? What was your process? Was it just about anything, or just certain things? Talk a little bit about that collecting, what it was.
I think most of it started with bugs. My early childhood was in New Orleans. So there were lots of roaches and ants and flies and things like that. And I have a sister who's very, very close in age to me, and we did not get along growing up. And so for me, I think part of it was my delight in her disgust. And so I loved to she was really into jewelry and girly things. And I loved to take her jewelry boxes and take the jewelry out and put dead cockroaches in there and just keep them for a really long time. I just thought that that was a really precious object.
Yeah, yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
really weird now, but as a kid in New Orleans, it didn't seem that weird.
So no
Yeah,
aversion. You weren't scared of the bugs. You were like totally into it. Like
no, I still love bugs.
you
I
love
still love
bugs,
bugs. Yeah,
but it
but
does look like it does look. There is, I see a central theme. Everything that you collect, or at least what we're seeing right now, is small.
yes.
Now talk a little bit about that, because I mean obviously that is what drew me completely to you, because part of what you collect are miniatures, but everything I see there is pretty small. I mean, like, what is that about? Does that tie into your interest?
I mean, I love miniature things just for the sake of being miniature, but also for most of my adult life, I traveled for filmmaking and things. So I was always on the road, and you can't collect, bookcases and furniture if you're got to pack it into a carry-on suitcase.
Right.
So it really worked in my favor, honestly, that I loved miniature things, because it just made it also easier to to shop more while I was abroad.
So you say you moved around a lot. That doesn't sound like there's any room for like a dollhouse or anything like that. Did you have one growing up?
We had one for a minute. Yeah, we had one for a minute, but I was not into dolls. I had zero interest in dolls. I really liked. I had a stuffed animal that I would make furniture for, but for me it was more about the spaces and the sort of world of that you wanted to live in. That you like wished that you could crawl into. That was what that appealed to me.
Do you have an art background? I know you have an extensive experience in the museum world. In fact, the Natural History Museum in New York, you spent a fair amount of time there.
Yes.
What's your educational background? Is it?
I have a bachelor's in fine art, filmmaking mostly, but then also science was. I have 4 minors in sciences: biology, ecology, environmental history, and botany.
So you couldn't have really been in a better place than Natural History Museum in New York City.
The Natural History Museum is one of my favorite places ever. But
so talk a little bit about your art, because one of the things that drew me to you was your Instagram account, and we're going to plop those links in the chat box too. But just your whole approach to presenting these pieces, the miniatures, and all the things you collect. Talk a little bit about that part of it.
Yeah, well, I started making feature films about ethnobiology, the way that cultures interact with the natural world. And then I made a stop motion animation back in, I want to say like 2010 or 2011, that in those early days went sort of viral. And I got a call from TED, of TED Talks, but the TED Ed arm. And they were like, hey, we want to buy this series. And I was like, okay, sure. Then I started making animation more full time. And a lot of that particular series was about the history of words, but a lot of the animations I've made in the past are about, science and the history of science and the history of sort of everyday objects. And which seems sort of disparate, but it all comes together in that the thing that I'm most sort of the crux of all my work, the thing that I'm really focused on is sort of the elements of life that get sort of forgotten, even though they're practiced every day, like certain routines that almost become ritual because they're so well practiced, and certain objects that you don't think about, but you use every day or just exist, like the junk drawer, for instance, the junk drawer that exists in your house that nobody thinks like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, it's time to just throw all things out. No, those, like, for some reason, those things continue to accumulate. And so the museum, in a way, is just like one giant trunk drawer. It's like the thing that everyone has, the things that don't have any value just on their own, but somehow they still have this like residue of attention that is valuable. And then you put them in mass together, and it's charming somehow.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome. I mean, I can totally relate that back to collectors who collect miniatures. I mean, there are the folks that collect the very, very high end stuff, but I think there are a fair amount of collectors that just acquire for the sake of acquiring because it's a small magical object. And to your point, when you collect, to put them together with all the others, it becomes something magical, like a shadow box. And in fact, that's what I see a lot of behind you and how you put everything together, it's very shadow box like. So let's talk a little bit about the kinds of things that you collect,
Yes.
and then would love to have a tour if you'll take us on it.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, there are many miniatures, but there's also a lot more. Sort of the more iconic ones are, I collect dice that you can't play with, where the corners are chipped or the pips are off or they're handmade. Especially being in Vegas, every dice at every casino is so carefully crafted. And I like the ones that you could never play with on an actual gambling floor.
Wow.
But I also collect like empty matchboxes and used pink erasers and tiny little animals that have broken limbs. Like I said, I love the sort of detritus, the things that fall between the cracks.
Right. Right.
But then, yeah, I also have a huge collection of like miniature fruit, miniature chairs, miniature drawers, miniature construction pieces. Yeah. You name it. If it's a miniature, I can't resist it, basically.
So let me ask you before we go on a tour. Are you still collecting in this moment? Like, what is your process? Are you on eBay constantly? Like, you're a collector.
Yeah, but I don't do the internet thing. I only collect. Or I, now the museum takes donations. So we get a fair amount of donations, which is to me sort of maybe not the best part of the museum, but certainly a highlight because I love getting to hear people's stories of their objects and where they come from and why they love them. Yeah. There's one piece in particular that I think of that I'll show you. Well, should I show you this one piece?
Yeah, no, let's do it. Yeah, for sure. And while we're waiting, if anybody has any questions, let's get those queued up.
This, somebody sent me this in the mail. They didn't, the note just said, I've had this for a long time. I think it belongs in your museum. It's not, there was very little to it, but it's this tiny little box. Yeah. And it sort of slides inside, and inside is this tiny little dried fish with rose petals. And
I love it.
It's the sort of thing that if maybe anybody else had received it in the mail, they might think, is this a death threat? but somehow it just really belongs at the museum, and it's tiny and it's perfect, and it's clear that it's been well loved. And this is like to me, this is the perfect, Yeah. This is the perfect, oh shoot, how do I get back? Oh no.
No, don't worry, we'll get you back. We'll get you back. Where are you?
Where am I? Hold on.
There you are.
Okay, sorry about that. My dad was calling. Like I said, there's been some family stuff this weekend. But this is, so to me, this is just like a perfect example of the type of donations that we get that are just so charming and clearly loved. So
all right. Well, so let's see the space and talk a little bit about how you came up with the name while we're moving.
That was a friend of mine, my friend Josh Siegel. I was telling him that I was opening this museum of tiny, lost, and forgotten objects. And he said, well, you got to call it the Office of Collecting and Design, or OCD for short.
Oh, I did not. Oh, I'm so dense. Oh, wow. Well, we're going to get into that whole thinking behind collecting. Yes. Oh, wow. I did not see. I'm dense. All right, good. That's awesome.
That's all right. It's very just, the space is very much about organization and everything in its place.
Yeah. And the office takes me there. It definitely, when you're calling it the office, it takes me to, this is a place of business and this is a business. How you have laid it out, this is clearly, I would not be messing around in that space. I would not want to touch anything.
Except it's very much a hands-on experience. You're supposed to come into the museum, you're supposed to open all the drawers, look at all the boxes, take stuff out of the jars. It's very much a hands-on experience.
Oh, see,
nothing's off limits.
Anything. All right. You're nicer than me. Because everything looks like it's perfectly placed in a museum, So,
well, I mean, I go through and straighten every time anybody comes in. Which I guess
there's your office of collecting.
I'll just straighten this box and this thing over here. But that's part of the joy for me is people get joy from handling the objects. I feel like that's such a rare thing in our world. Everything's so much about like, take this photo for Instagram, or you get to experience this thing on a screen. And for me, I want that very analog, very physical enjoyment. So
Yeah, well, that's great because in the miniatures world, we don't really always get that chance. Even in people's personal collections, people are not allowed to touch, and I get it. All right, so
I do
take
too.
us around
I do too. It stresses me out, especially when there are kids here. I'm like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I would have to close it down. Sorry.
yeah.
All right, so take us around the space. Tell us a little bit of how you organize the space. Is there a thinking behind where things are placed? And I love all the little cabinets. I'm all about little drawers and stuff. So oof, when I see all those things, I'm like loving it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will. I'll take you around here.
Yeah, perfect. And I love the colors. I love the coloring. It's very soothing. I don't know if it's a minty green. It's just such a soothing space. And I know there's this whole little sofa area that I hope we're going to show everybody.
Yeah. So this is sort of the entrance area. You come in, there's like a little gift shop area, but then this is the main part of the museum.
Right.
And yeah, it's really just things are organized according to collection, but also according to sort of how they fit together with other collections around them. So sometimes, like right now I have down here, I have part of our miniature chair collection is here in this desk, but then if you move over to the other wall, there's also like a little home section over here.
Okay.
And the home section also has quite a few miniature chairs in the area.
I see it. What are those houses called? There's a name for those, right?
Oh, putts. Yeah, these little putts.
Yes.
Japanese craft house. Yeah.
Very cute. Very cute.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, look at how tiny this little chair is. Is that not the cutest little chair you've ever seen?
Yeah. And I noticed in that on the other side, when you first started, there's a tiny chair in that collection, which I wanted to see.
They're even more tiny. Yeah, there's another little tiny rocking chair over here.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I scoped that one out. It's
yeah. But so, and you know, like this is a child-sized desk, and then you've got a medium child, like an even smaller child-sized desk, and then over here you have a little dollhouse desk.
Oh, I love that. There's 3 in various sizes.
Of course, yeah. Everything comes in 3s here.
Oh, is that right? Well, there's the magic in 3. I love the magic of 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure what else. I mean, there's so many things that I could share with you. You know, like sometimes I do a little vignette here. So I have like a little living room set up.
Yep.
You know, a little reading nook with some miniature books and glasses and a tiny little fireplace and a giant teacup.
Yeah.
You know, miniature food is a big one for me. So I've got plenty of ice creams, lots and lots of miniature animals.
Yeah. I love the little bottles. I was big on collecting little bottles when I was younger. I love all those bottles.
This was this entire collection was a donation of tiny perfume bottles.
And
they're just perfect.
Animals. You have even smaller animals underneath the glass, the bottles.
Yeah. Well, these are, this is the dog section here. So some tiny dogs, some slightly bigger dogs. Yeah. But I like the ones that are, like I said, that are broken, where they sort of have to like lean against each other to be, you know, in order to stay up. I love the ones that need their friends.
There's something, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but a singular porcelain dog, you know, is so, and maybe I'm saying this wrong, but doesn't have a lot of value. But when you put them all together like that, it's like, it brings it all back. Like it makes it, I don't talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, there really is the making something in, you know, having something in multiples really does, I don't know. It just, it gives it not, I wouldn't say value, but just charm, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Or some sort, it brings an aesthetic that's more, that's more universal, I guess.
And it raises the interest level for sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested. I'm much more interested in seeing all of this collection of dogs than maybe if you showed me that tiny dog.
I mean, I certainly don't care about any of the individual dogs.
Right.
I mean, I would say that, but
yeah. I wonder if
it's better in mass.
I wonder if it's the same concept. Jackie's saying it gives it such great impact in mass. Yes.
Yeah.
I want to bring this back to miniatures in the dollhouse. If there's the same sort of concept there, it's like, okay, I have this dollhouse chair. It's the same idea, collection of chairs or a room filled with miniatures. is
Right.
much more interesting than if someone had a chair in miniature.
Yeah.
their
Well, I mean, I feel like that applies in basically every, that applies with basically everything. Like any of these one tiny suitcases is charming, but it's not like,
Right.
wow. But then you
Yeah.
put them all together and they're, you
Yeah,
have like a whole traveler set, and it's, you've
right.
got a fishing tackle box and
Oh, love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you even broaden that out to, the entire space is
Yeah.
just filled. It's just pure charm. It's pure charm. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
one wall. And
Yeah.
then, and you shared some of the chairs on this wall. There's also a spoon collection. I would
Oh
love
my gosh. Yes, I will. I can bring you to the spoon collection, but I also, the mini mushrooms is one of my favorite.
Oh, yes.
They're just,
Sure.
everybody loves a mushroom. And this is the dice collection, which is my largest. And it really just, it just goes on and on and on and on.
And is this your favorite? This is your favorite. Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
There's a lot of them. It's definitely my largest and oldest collection. I don't know if it's my favorite, but if there was a fire, this would be what I would run for.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
yeah,
there's, I see
No,
more
tell me.
shadow boxes and printers boxes. So I
Yes.
just those. That
There
just
is-
takes.
there's a lot of those, but part of the joy of the museum is getting to be here and then, getting to decide which drawer you open and what's inside. And, everything's available for opening. I mean, over here, there's, there are endless amounts of drawers. You could literally be here. We have people come in and they stay, 4 or 5 hours just opening every drawer.
Yeah.
Taking their time. My miniature fruit collection.
Oh, and I see that cute like break front. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, like any museum, you come across an object and it just makes you think. And I would imagine that's why people spend so much time there. It's just, it takes you wherever. Maybe it takes you to your childhood. Maybe it takes you, but it brings you somewhere else. And I think that's what a museum or an exhibition is really about. That's what its purpose is, right? It's to make you think.
Yeah. And it really is. Somebody has described it as a nostalgia time machine.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that people don't, they haven't thought about since their childhood. They'll come in and they'll be like, oh, this is interesting. And then suddenly they'll have a moment where they're like, oh my God, I hadn't seen something like this since I was 5 years old.
Right.
And they're totally blown away by it.
Yeah. And hopefully that triggers a good feeling. And
Yes.
maybe that goes back to, one of the questions, why do we collect? Maybe we get that little serotonin blip, drop that makes us feel good for that moment. And that's why we hold on to things. Because we might stumble upon it in our junk drawer. We cannot get rid of it for whatever reason, because it makes us feel good.
Yes.
It makes us feel good.
That's really a huge part of it.
I love it. I just love everything. What are the frame pieces? I see another shadow box of miniatures. I see. Is it a bathroom or
where? What?
Above the little blue light? What is it?
Yes.
Is that no, it's a bird bath or
it's like a tiny hi. It's a tiny little like, I think it's for jewelry or something, but it holds these hand marbled marbles from Italy. That are.
Eleanor is saying, now I feel validated as a collector. That's a very interesting
I get that a lot, where people come in and they're like, oh, I'm not alone. I don't, it's gonna be fine.
But
I'm not doing something wrong.
Collecting is such a personal thing. And I think we feel like, people aren't going to get why we collect because it's so personal. And so, it's hard to share that because you're not going to get necessarily a reaction that you would expect because they're not feeling what you're feeling when you see these objects. So I think collecting is a very personal thing.
It really is.
And it's,
I mean, that's part of what I love about the museum is things that I would never think of as that, the things that I'm like, oh, I probably should include this in the collection. Somebody will come in and just be like, oh, this is the best thing. I love how personal it is.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's not what it's about. Collecting is about your own personal journey and what it makes you feel. And that's why I say I'm unapologetic miniaturist. I'm John explaining to people why I love to do what I do, because
Right.
I'm just super focused on loving what I do.
Yeah.
And so, but this is, I think you're giving people a chance, to Eleanor's comment, you're giving people a chance to, say, this, I like this makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Yeah. That's really okay.
Yeah.
Where do I see
tiny
TVs? Yes. Oh my God. I love those.
This one is my favorite though. It's a salt and pepper shaker.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
you turn the little knob here and the salt and pepper comes up so that you can take it out of the.
Oh,
it's pretty smart.
Wonderful.
Pretty cute little well invented thing.
Yeah, I love the retroness. And it's not even that retro. That's like what? I want to say 70s. No, it's not even
probably 60s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
we did have a question. We know that you love the dice, but what's your favorite section or part of the museum? You have a favorite?
It's really hard. It changes all the time. I think it's hard to say. I mean, so much of some of the collections are really personal for me.
Yeah.
Like when I worked as a live animal keeper, I kept all of the skins of all the lizards and snakes from the animals that, of the ones I was in charge of.
Yeah.
So like that one is really personal and important to me. But then, I'll like that donation earlier, I'll get a donation that just charms the pants off me. And then I just want to keep it forever.
Right.
So
Donna had a question about a chair. Is that a
chair
yes,
jacket? I saw
maybe that. Same material.
Yes.
What is that?
This is my husband's grandmother recovered this chair and then made herself a matching house coat. And I love it. The chair is a little faded because it was in the, he was raised in this chair.
Yeah.
But I loved, like, you could camouflage. She could wear the coat and stay in the chair and nobody would even know she was there.
Yeah. A good eye. I just scooted over that. So thank you for asking that question, Donna. May wants to know, what are in the jars on the table? Oh yeah. What's
the jars on the table? It's a bunch of random different things. You've got pencils, you've got matches, you've got dice, you have stamps, you have so many buttons, marbles, more buttons, letters, pom-poms, paper, like a little miniature wood village, some beads, some glass ice cubes, even more buttons on this side. Yeah, this is the sorting table, and we've had people come in and just literally spend hours like sorting through all the buttons, deciding which ones they like, and photographing them. I don't know. I mean, I do that too when I'm here by myself. I'm like, maybe I'll just sort some buttons today. There's no reason not to.
Yeah. So. Well, this goes back to your awesome posts on Instagram. They're wildly creative. And I really encourage folks to go check out, because your animation skills definitely tie in. And there's some just great, like really fun posts, which tie into this wonderful space that you have. There's also that other little room. Would you mind taking us in this little sitting room?
Yes, absolutely. I will take you in.
Oh, and there's that wall that's in one of this great photographs you have on Instagram. What is that wall of stamps?
It's slides. They're 35 millimeter slides that I found at different estate sales and stuff. And some of them are like, this is a microscope, there was somebody had taken a photo through a microscope. These were like for some science class with NASA moon landings. But then there's also, somebody clearly traveled a lot and would take photos wherever he was. And then there was like, somebody would go to the zoo and just take photos at the zoo. They're just random strangers slides, but they make a beautiful stained glass. And I just love to look at them.
Yeah. And I just love that one photograph you have of a gentleman. This is gentleman. Again, you guys have got to go check out her Instagram account, because it's wildly creative and wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So that nice sitting room.
Yeah. And here we are in the reading room. It's
a reading room. Oh, look at that. Oh, it goes all the way to the back.
Yeah.
What a cozy spot.
It is. It's a super cozy spot. We've got a little fake fireplace, because in Vegas, you definitely don't need a real one.
Right,
Um,
right.
and
I
a
love
collection of vintage doll dresses from my
Oh,
grandmother's.
perfect. Oh, those are all your grandmothers?
Well, not, I mean, various grandmothers.
Yeah,
I've had many grandmothers in my life, surprisingly, but yeah,
yeah.
um,
Don
a
has enough.
lot of them are from my grandmothers.
Do you consider the printer's trays and draw storage units part of your collection? Interesting.
I do now. I didn't, when I moved in, I didn't have any furniture. So I had a couple of cases, but that more, I acquired a lot of them as I was moving in because I just needed more space to display. So that wasn't part of the original collections at all, but it is now.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So there's the spoons, right?
yeah, here are the spoons. Tiny, lots of tiny spoons in my life.
I love it. And you continue to add. If you find more spoons, you will add to that collection. I mean,
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
have a bunch more that I need to put up but haven't yet done.
yeah,
Haven't wired them in. But also, I love doll shoes, but I especially love the lost ones that don't have a buddy.
yeah,
So they end up here in this little collection of lost doll shoes.
yeah. I love it. I just love it. It's just pure charm.
Yeah,
Pure
and I
charm.
like anything in miniature. So all these empty picture frames, just because the size of the picture frame is so charming. They're just so tiny.
Yeah, we know it. I mean, the only
Yeah, I'm
difference
talking to my people here.
from the
talking to my people.
collector is, we might have these things in a drawer next to our dollhouse. You have them up on display, but it's the same
Yeah.
mentality. I have to
Yeah.
have this. I have to have
Yeah.
this as part of my collection.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. It feels a little like a compulsion, but in a good
Well,
way.
I think when you have a strong interest or passion for something, it does become sort of a compulsion, especially for collectors who are on the prowl,
Mhm.
constantly
Yeah.
looking for that one piece that they need to have. It's no, we don't really need to have it. And that's the age-old question. Why do we collect? We don't need any of these things. But at the end of the day, maybe they make us happy, and that's a good enough reason.
I really do feel like it's a genetic trait. I feel like you either have it or you don't.
Right.
And the people that have it you just get it. You just know why, you know. If you know, you know.
But I think culturally there might be a shift in the generations, whereas some of the younger kids don't want anything. They want to be able to just
Right.
get up and go.
Right.
They don't want to collect things because it's holding them down from moving on. But
I guess,
yeah.
yeah, I guess that is more of but I still feel like there are young people that have the collecting bug, and there's nothing they can do about it. So
For sure. I think if you have the
Yeah.
space, I think we're genetically inclined to fill the space that we have. Like,
I
if
guess
you have
that's true.
a 5-bedroom house, we're gonna find stuff to fill it with.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been just incredible. Can we bring back you in the front?
Yes. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions from anyone while we still have Jessica here?
I have to figure out how to.
Anything else you want to share? Is there anything else you wanted to share or talk about before we take any final questions?
I don't know. I feel like there's so many other
There's
mini
so
things that
there's
include.
so much I'm sure we did not even get to, but that's the idea here, really, is to encourage folks to have a little bit of a taste and to come and visit you. And you were telling me about, the people that come visit you are really from all over the world. And they might be in Vegas and they find you and they come to see you. So isn't that really just the idea, is to get folks to come see you, because you can never be done seeing everything.
Yeah. Still my assistant who's worked here for more than a year, I'll post something on Instagram and he'd be like, where'd that come from? We have that here at the museum.
Right. All right. One more question, maybe to person, but do you have any kids? I don't know. Do you want to answer that question? Maybe to have parents?
I don't have any kids.
All right. That's all good. Yeah. So what is next? So you take donations. You don't actually actively collect. Interesting.
But no, I do, but only in person. I don't I only go to estate sales and flea markets and stuff, but I won't buy online.
Right.
That's my rule.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I spend too much money. I'm a cheapskate, really. The museum doesn't pay for itself. I pay for it with my job, doing commercial work or animating, things like that. So I try not to spend a ton of money on, the collections.
Well, so are there, how do people support you? They can send donations in terms of collections.
Yeah,
And
we all-
visit you.
Yeah, we also have a donation box here. I guess I should probably put a donation box on my website.
Yeah,
I don't know. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
why not? I mean, you're providing this wonderful, very, very unique experience for sure. And so yeah, people should support that. Like I would. Jessica, this has been an amazing way to spend an afternoon. Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful
It's a pleasure.
of collecting a
Absolutely.
design. And we will be all checking out your Instagram and all your social media and maybe even get to visit you one day.
I
Thank
hope
you
so.
guys for
I hope
joining us home. Definitely join us on Sunday for my next Meet the Miniaturist. Thank you again, Jessica. Thank you again, everybody at home. Have a great rest of your weekend and enjoy your week ahead. And we'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.